I've been to a lot of conferences over a period of time, but I just have to say that this conference here has been absolutely incredible. And Will, you and Anthony, what you put together here is so awesome. There's one other person that I've had a lot of people give me a lot of help over a period of years, and we can all help each other. There's plenty of room for us in this world, for all of us to be here. But I have to thank one other person while I have the opportunity. And of course, everybody knows Danny Meyer. But Danny, thank you for all that you have done for all of the industry and all of us in this room. I can't tell you what a feeling it is for a dad to be able to have the opportunity to introduce his daughter in this situation to all the hospitality that's out here, and what it's like to be able to have a daughter want to follow in his footsteps. To be able to reconnect with your children later in life is absolutely unbelievable. I spent not nearly enough time over the years back when my kids were young. I have a son, Christopher, who lives in California, my daughter Amy, who lives in Boston, or just outside of Boston. And to be able for them to leave and go out and find their own way in the world, and then come back later on in life and be able to help you in what you've been doing, and for that to become their love with not being asked is incredible. I can't tell you that feeling until you have that feeling that they want to do it on their own with no obligation. At this time, I could go on for hours and just tell you how incredible my daughter is. But without any further ado, I would like to introduce my pride and joy, Amy Mills.
Wow, so much emotion. I am feeling a little like Ellie Mae Clampett up here. The bar has been set very high by my fellow speakers, and what an amazing day this is. And I think I'm going to be calling the people at Chase. I think I have to move some of my banking to y'all. When I heard the topic for this year's Welcome Conference, I laughed out loud. So did my dad, and so did my children, because being right is a mantra and a guiding force in our family. The three strongest people in my family raised me with a very distinct sense of the right way to do things. First, my Mama Faye. She took me to church every Sunday, and she was without doubt the matriarch of our family. She had 5 children, and her husband died at the age of 42, leaving her home with the 3 youngest. She became the first Fuller Brush woman in the country. Does anyone know what that is? A few older people may know. Don't belie your age by raising your hand. And she became the first woman to do that because all the men were off at war. She sold our family barbecue sauce to friends and neighbors to make a little extra money. The second woman is my Aunt Jeanette, and she is without a doubt the strongest female figure in my life. She was the epitome of a Southern, strong, beautiful woman, and she reigned with an iron fist. And just to give you a little idea of her personality, I'm going to read an excerpt from an email she sent me about 3 years ago, about a month before she died. Amy, you need to make sure your dad has a medical power of attorney, a do not resuscitate, and an updated will. If he insists on dying and he doesn't really need to, he should at least have the proper papers in order. Tell him they will keep him on a resuscitator forever. He will not like that. And then we have Mike Mills. No pressure. I was encouraged to follow my own path, and I ran far and fast from the barbecue world, first to journalism school in Missouri, followed by a short stint in Dallas and a longer stint in Boston, where I still spend about half my time. My mail goes there, I guess that counts. It's still part of my home. My professional world was advertising, marketing, and PR, but it's no accident that in my spare time, I formed a consulting company called The Proper Manner. I taught business communication skills and corporate etiquette to people from all over the world. I've always been fascinated with etiquette and the rules and the reasons why we do things. I had Emily Post and Amy Vanderbilt as my spirit animals. The etiquette is really the rules that grease the wheels of society. And as society changes, the rules change. The current edition of Emily Post has a social media section. We didn't even have that for people of our generation 6 or 7 years ago. That's crazy, right? Things change very rapidly, and the rules and what's acceptable change along with that. Etiquette is really a French word for the word ticket. And the very first rules of etiquette were written in the days of Louis XIV. Those tickets were written and given to people who were coming to call upon the king. They were accessible, those rules, only to the upper class and to royalty. Today, we all have access. And the most important thing that I try to impart when I'm giving a seminar is that even if you forget everything I told you in that few hours, as long as you're treating people with kindness and respect, then you have the ultimate good manners. In my parallel world, what's kind of funny, I was actually on the cover of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution giving a talk about how to eat ribs in the proper manner. So back to barbecue. I came back to this world a number of years ago because of a sticky note. I was home in Southern Illinois visiting, and my dad handed me a little piece of paper and asked if I would follow up. I called, and it was an editor from Martha Stewart Living magazine. Does anyone here work for Martha Stewart Living? She said, I'm writing an article, or I was writing an article on mail order barbecue, but I called 3 weeks ago. Daddy, I said, we just missed a huge opportunity. Start giving me all those little pieces of paper, and I will follow up. So my time away in travels has given me a unique perspective. Hundreds of ideas, many of which are deemed a little highfalutin, and maybe a little bit of impatience for what I deem to be the lack of perspective or of patience at 17th Street and in Southern Illinois. Before Danny Meyer came into my life 16 years ago, can you believe that? With the concepting and building of Blue Smoke, I had Mike Mills as my touchstone, whose values and wisdom and ways of conducting life and business are eerily parallel. My dad was a dental technician when I was growing up. He made dental prosthetics, but on the side, he started 2 businesses. The first, in 1975, a bar where he actually gave away barbecue in order to sell more booze. And second, in 1985, 17th Street, where he finally decided maybe he could use that barbecue to make a little money. So as for all those rules, and what I know for sure, I'll share a few. The Oxford comma is the correct punctuation. Pork barbecue is king. Home is the most excellent place of all. Generosity is a recipe for success. And barbecue is a culture, not a concept. Murfreesboro, I have a little slide here, is located in the tip of Southern Illinois. It's 7 hours south of Chicago, 2 hours southeast of St. Louis in the nearest large airport, 3 hours north of either Memphis or Nashville. When you look at that map, you can see it's farther south than Louisville, Kentucky, or Richmond, Virginia. We are a Midwestern town with a decidedly southern bent. We're surrounded by peach orchards and apple orchards and cornfields. Besides the Walmart, we're probably one of the larger employers in our town of 7,000 people. But we've become a barbecue mecca, and people come from all over the world to eat barbecue at 17th Street. About half of our business comes from out of town, out of state, or out of the country. If we had to rely on the people in our own town, we would be starving, and that is the truth. The way that we track these people and know these facts and figures is that we have a chalkboard at the back of our restaurant. We're pretty down home. My dad does not even have a computer, if you can believe that. So we have a chalkboard, and our servers ask the guests, where are you from? Is this your first time? And they log all of the states and cities and countries. Just last Monday, I looked at that chalkboard, and we had New York and Brooklyn, because of course those are different. We had Louisiana, Charleston, LA, Mexico, and Houston. And that's just a typical Monday in the middle of nowhere. Our mission has been now to remain very down home. We need to operate at the highest level possible. We need to remain the hometown favorite, and we need to warmly welcome all of these people who are coming and wanting to be part of our barbecue family. We all know that with awards and accolades, the bar is set very high. So there's a lot of pressure to do what we do at 17th Street. 17th Street is a joint. This is it. It's over 100 years old, and for over 100 years we have served, but there has been served a barbecue sandwich and a hamburger in that location. When we bought the restaurant, we added more of a menu, and it became a family place to dine. The economic impact we have on our region is staggering, and we're very well aware of that. We're providing a job and a livelihood for so many people. We have to get that right. We're also bringing people to our area. So every time we give an interview, we're sure to shine a spotlight on Southern Illinois, because we know that the more people who come to visit us, the higher the economic impact on our region will be. We've really honed our marketing efforts, and I call that teachers and preachers. We're down to that. That means that we will support every church and school possible with a little bit of money and a whole lot of barbecue. We also take our brand of hospitality on the road. We're talking about the Big Apple Barbecue Block Party that took place this weekend. This was the 13th year. And we love being out on Madison Avenue, serving thousands of New Yorkers barbecue while entertaining our local friends and media and getting to know them better and cultivating those relationships. We all know this phrase, we rise by lifting others. We know that lifting others is a recipe for success, that generosity of spirit. And one of the ways in which we try to be generous is investing in our staff. We've taken many of them on their first plane rides. We've taken them on their first trips here to New York City. We work hard, we play hard. We also cultivate barbecue relationships across the globe. We have a book called Peace, Love, and Barbecue, and in that book, we share the spotlight with 58 of our favorite barbecue friends. We're telling their stories and giving them a voice right alongside our own. I'm so proud to be part of this world where the best of the best lifts one another up. When we were out on Madison Avenue barbecuing with 16 of our closest friends, the families we consider our barbecue family, it's never about whose barbecue is the best. We're all championing one another, but the magic is that we're doing it all together. What we've created at 17th Street is really an unplanned, chaotic, unorganized, no written mission statement possible way of conducting business that for us somehow just works. And when you combine that warmth and welcome that we're trying to create with people who are now intensely interested in barbecue, we now have people who swing by 3 or 4 days a week and would love to spend the afternoon learning from Mike Mills, sitting at the knee of the master, absorbing the barbecue culture and ways of doing business. We have so many people coming that it actually has cut in, to a critical chunk of our time. The paradox of creating that warm and welcome environment is that people feel very comfortable spending that time with us and asking for that audience. Mike Mills will talk about barbecue to anybody all day long as they will sit and listen to him. But it started taking a critical chunk of our time and cutting into how we're conducting our own business as well. So I had an idea. We're going to monetize this. And I created the consulting arm of our company, which is called On Cue. For the past 6 years, we've had over 500 people who have traveled to Murfreesboro from 15 countries and 45 states. They are either in the barbecue business or they want to be. and they all want to look behind the Iron Curtain of 17th Street. We bring them right into our facility. We talk about times and temps and methods. We talk about branding and marketing. We share every secret we have, except for the recipe for magic dust. We're not trying to create replicas of 17th Street. We don't give recipes. We want people to take that information and go home and put their own spin on it. What is so special about barbecue are the regional variations and the different distinctive flavor profiles. No two barbecue is the same, and it really shouldn't be. There's something delicious about all of it. Even bad barbecue is somebody's favorite. What we're actually trying to do at On Cue is shave time and pain off the learning curve. And we're proud to have incubated dozens of restaurants at this time, 3 here in Brooklyn alone. We hold those classes purposefully in Murfreesboro. I know we could make a lot of money if we took the show on the road, and people ask all the time. But to me, a critical part of what they're learning and absorbing is our culture and that barbecue culture. And one of the most important lessons I've learned throughout consulting is this: barbecue is a culture, not a concept. And I came to that line a number of years ago when I was doing some private consulting with someone who had 5 or 6 different types of restaurants: steak, Mexican, Italian, and so on. And he had converted one of them into a barbecue restaurant, and it was not doing very well. Our pitmaster, Philip, and I went out and visited him several times. We adjusted some seasoning and time and temperature, and we helped the food taste better, but the business was not getting any better at all. And as I sat in that restaurant and absorbed what was happening and what was going on, I realized that no one from the owner on down knew anything about barbecue. They could not tell you any legendary figures in the barbecue world or anything about the regions. They didn't know about their own pit or wood or spice or seasoning. People are coming to barbecue restaurants not only for food, but craving community. Barbecue crosses all socioeconomic lines, all racial lines. Barbecue feeds and soothes the soul. And the people who are thriving in the barbecue restaurant world are those who not only preach the gospel, but who live the holy word. The secret to reconciling what is right in my mind, and giving me a little peace of mind, with the chaos of the restaurant world lies in this advice. And this is the postscript to that email from my Aunt Jeanette. Yes, Amy, Mama Faye and I have taught you that there is only one way to do things, and that would be the right way, but one can change. None of my family liked my way, so I did make myself learn that there are other acceptable ways of doing things. Really, ours is the right way, but most don't want to hear it. Sorry to let you know that. Don't sacrifice any of your principles, though. Just find another way of getting your goals accomplished. The last thing I know to be true is Mike Mills hung the moon. One of my favorite things about him, and there are many, is that he appreciates strong women. I was raised to believe I could do or be anything I wanted. He was that dad who wondered why there weren't very many plus signs next to all of those A's. Oh, you're having a bad day? Sorry to hear that, but you better bend over and pull yourself up by the bootstraps because more is coming. It can be difficult to work in a family business, but for us, it works. I get to implement maybe 2 of my every 100 brilliant ideas. But most of all, I get to learn lessons that I've heard over and over my whole life take on new meaning. And one of those lessons is the importance of building and maintaining relationships. Life is actually long. It's very long. And the people who annoy you and antagonize you are going to turn up again and again, just like a bad penny. Especially in the restaurant world, and especially in a very small town. I watch a friend of my dad over the years who has stabbed him in the back constantly. And I asked him one day, Daddy, why do you let him keep doing that? Why don't you take care of that? And he just got that little sly grin and that Mike Mills glimmer in his eye, and he said, well, I'm not dead yet. Being the next generation and helping lead 17th Street into the next evolution is both daunting and thrilling. and that I get to do that at the side of the man who is one of the most revered in barbecue is such a privilege. So for what I know for sure, what I know is right in my heart, it's this: generosity is a recipe for success, barbecue is a culture, not a concept, and home is the most excellent place of all. Thank you.